Welcome to the Vermilion Podcast, a free audio library of business strategies, creative inspiration, and industry knowledge for actors, filmmakers, writers, and anyone looking to activate their creative potential. I'm Misha, a writer-director who helps artists build the careers that they dream of. I really hope that this podcast inspires you in some way. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm launching a special series called Life as an Artist, and it's going to include different segments that deal with the specificities of life, the challenges of life as an artist. And today I'm going to do a two-part series on dating and love, which is something that I get requested a lot to speak about from my clients, and it's something that a lot of people care deeply about and that they need a lot of help with. So I'm going to start with some good news, which is that I recently began a new relationship after years being single in New York. So I consider that a huge achievement because it's something I've wanted for a really long time. And I'm going to gear this episode toward committed dating experiences or committed relationship experiences. And I'm going to speak about what it's like to be an artist trying to create that, and also specifically being an actor trying to create that. So I think this will apply to any artist trying to cultivate love in your life. It will be especially applicable to actors, and it will be especially applicable to women and people in their feminine energy, because I'm a woman and I want to be in my feminine energy in love, even though I'm oftentimes in my masculine energy in my career. So I think there'll be really good things here for anyone, no matter your gender, no matter your age, your location, your career path. But if you check those boxes, female, actor, feminine, this is going to be a hopefully very powerful episode for you. This is part one of Life as an Artist, the dating and love episode. Being an artist trying to create a loving relationship is particularly challenging because you are naturally empathetic, sensitive, and if you're an actor, you can create chemistry with anyone. It is literally your job to be charming, magnetic, and create chemistry on command. So it can be very tricky navigating love because of that. Also, with actors in particular, you love attention more than almost any other group of people on the planet. So this can complicate relationship dynamics. In addition, there's very little stability in income or career if you're an actor or if you're an artist in general. So the rules are a bit different for actors who are trying to date. And I'm going to hopefully offer you a fresh perspective, and also one that gives hope that you can be an artist and you can find love. And you basically just have to come in with a lot more self-awareness about the whole thing. So I'm going to take you through how I found love and created for the first time in my life, incredibly healthy relationship with somebody in New York. And I'll tell you how I got there, and I will give you some frameworks that I think are hopefully going to help you to create that for yourself. The first thing that I think is really, really important is to choose wisely. So I had to learn this the hard way. I'm technically in my middle age now, and I chose poorly for a long time, for many, many years. But going back to chemistry, just because you feel chemistry doesn't mean that it's right. The best chemistry that I've had has been with the worst people. And it took a long time to admit that. I used to confuse chemistry for connection and chemistry for compatibility. Compatibility and chemistry are not the same. And you need to prioritize compatibility over chemistry. Chemistry is very short-lived, and like I said, I've had the best chemistry with the most toxic people. So I just wouldn't bank on chemistry. And if there's even half of the chemistry that you're used to, that doesn't mean that you should throw the whole thing out. So just something to think about. Also, the chemistry might be coming from you. You might be generating the chemistry, and that person is a mirror, or worse yet, a vampire for what you're bringing, for the energy and the generosity that you're bringing. So just be aware that just because there's chemistry doesn't mean that it's the correct relationship for you. And just because there's chemistry doesn't mean that it's actually going two ways. It might be just going from you to them, and you're feeling it because you're generating it. Little nuclear reactor, because that's what artists are. We are generators. We are nuclear reactors of creativity and life force. So there's a good chance that you're doing that in your relationships as well. So what I want you to do is write a list of all the traits that you want in a romantic partner. And it can be a long list, that's fine. But make sure that you focus on how you want to feel. So moving away from the ego, moving away from how they look, because the person that I'm with now, he is definitely not what I was expecting in some pretty astonishing ways. Like I don't know how he made it through my search settings. We met on a dating app, but he wasn't even within those search settings. I don't know, the app just sent him to me. So what I thought I was looking for, really, some of it was just completely invalid. But how I wanted to feel, way exceeding what I had even written down, way exceeding what I thought was possible in terms of how someone treats me. So focus on how you want to feel, how they show up, the deal breakers for you, but try to get out of things that seem like they're there to validate some sort of social norm or social expectation or parental expectation, or I'll get more into this, but really focus on how you feel when you're making your list, how they make you feel when you're around them. So continuing with step number 1 of choose wisely, who you partner with is the single most impactful decision of your life. And of course, I'm talking about long-term partnerships here. This episode is going to focus more on cultivating masculine and feminine polarity in a relationship, just because that's what I can speak from. I'm recognizing that there's all sorts of polarities that you can have in a relationship. It doesn't need to be the quote-unquote traditional masculine-feminine dynamic. I don't like the word traditional. I'm kind of uncomfortable that I just said it, but that's hopefully helpful to illustrate to you the kind of masculine-feminine polarity that I'm going to discuss here. So that's what I like in my romantic life, and that's what I'll be offering you, although this is regardless of gender, so take that for what you will. So continuing with choose wisely, whether you get married or not, this decision is going to impact your lifespan, your health, your income, your happiness, your friendships, your hobbies, your house, your location where you end up living, whether you have children or not, whether you have pets or not. And one of the most important things is going to impact your confidence in your relationship with yourself. So there's some study done with women where men who are married are far more happy than unmarried men. Women who are married are typically less happy than single women who have a dog. So choose wisely, parentheses, particularly if you are a woman or non-male. Part of this is because not only do we absorb how our partner feels about us, so if you're an artist, you're going to be absorbing their view of you. And if they don't have a good view of you, you're screwed because you're taking that on. How can you not? You live in the same house, most likely, if it's a long-term partnership, or at the very least, you're spending a lot of time with them. So you really want to be careful with, does my long-term partner both love me and like me? You also are going to become like them. The more time you spend with them, the more you're going to be like them. So ask yourself when you're considering partnership, and if there's someone already in your life, or you're like, I'm in a relationship, I don't know if it's the right one for me. Do you want to become like this person? Do they inspire you? Do you look at them and say, I want to become more like them? Or do you look at them and say, I don't ever want to be like them? That's making me depressed. And if so, take a look at your relationship, because there's definitely going to be someone else out there who doesn't depress you. Okay, the second category that I want to talk about is criteria. And I put this into a helpful little acronym, which is MEH. MEH, MEH. Reason being, I want you to feel comfortable looking at a long-term partner before you've started dating them. So let's say you're on an app and you're assessing somebody. You look at them and you can drop down to a 6 out of 10. Most people, women in particular, are looking for an 8, 9, 10 out of 10 or an 11 out of 10. That's not going to help you. Now, we don't want to go 5 or less, because that's, getting into the ugly territory. We're not talking about that. You don't have to settle for somebody who you're not attracted to. You can and should be attracted to a partner. But we're talking 6, 7, 8. Just like, meh, yeah. Here's why. That's the H in meh. That's hot. So how hot are they? They're a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Those guys are going to treat you better than the 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s. They just are. There's more single women in big cities typically than there are single men, especially in New York. So you have to just look at supply and demand there. And here's the things that you can't compromise on. The M, mental connection, and the E, emotional connection. So those need to be at a 10 or an 11. If you're like me, you're very ambitious. So the M and the E, mental and emotional connection, 10 out of 10. It's only the hotness that you can drop a bit. And this is going to be opposite from what a lot of people do, because a lot of people, women in particular, they will look for partners who are really good looking. And typically, those good looking partners are getting a lot of interest. There's just a lot of competition. If you look at things like, in the marketplace, like there's just a lot more competitors. So ultimately also looks fade. I mean, my vision is already starting to sort of wane a little bit. I don't even want to get into that. That's terrifying. But the point is, your eyes will go, but your heart will remain. And as you age, how somebody treats you is something that is critical. It affects everything. How someone looks after a while, like you don't even see the couch in your house. It's a funny metaphor, because after a while, your partner's face is just going to be, you're going to hopefully be so in love with them that they just blend in, right? Like you just look at them and you kind of see, like, you don't even see them, you just sense them. At least that's how it's been for me in long-term relationships. So, you appreciate your couch, but it's not like you're taking in every detail of it every time you go into your living room. The main thing that matters is, does it feel good to sit on that couch? So the number 2 thing to think about is that MEH, meh, scale. And are they hitting at a 10 out of 10 on mental and emotional? Hotness, that can go down a bit. The number 3 concept that I want to speak about is the idea of a protector versus a prize. And again, this is mostly for masculine-feminine dynamics. But I like to think of things in terms of the divine feminine and the mythic masculine, more so than like some weird traditional Christian values. I'm not speaking at it from that angle at all. I think there's a lot of really damaging gender roles that happen within religion. So this is more the divine role of the feminine and the divine role of the mythic masculine. And that is genderless. Anyone can walk into either one at any time. I would say, just for the record, I'm probably 15% gay, and I've had long-term relationships with women, but I partner with men in terms of long-term cohabitation. So that's where I'm coming from with all this. And when I was calling in the boyfriend that I have now, I was wanting to call in a man. So what I mean by the mythic masculine is that this archetypal masculine energy wants to protect and provide. And that is what you're going to want to expect out of this. So that's the contract that you make. I will allow this man into my life, and in exchange, he's going to protect and provide. So it's really important when you're first on your dating journey, when you get back out there, or as you're going on these, exploring these conversations with different men and anyone mask presenting, right? You want to let them protect and provide. Allow them to do so. When you first meet somebody, you have no arms and no legs. You cannot do anything for yourself. Let them do it all for you the first few dates, because you're establishing that you want the masculine energy to come forward to protect and provide for you. If you step in and you start doing for them, or setting up the dates, or calling them, texting them, initiating in the beginning, that's taking on the masculine role, and that's letting them know that you're going to take care of it. You got it. You want them to take care of it if you're the female, the feminine energy. Next is the idea of who is paying for these dates. So there's nothing wrong with going for a walk, going for a coffee. It could be low cost. I have absolutely no problem with that. In fact, I think dinner on a first date can be a big ask, a big commitment of time and energy and money. That being said, if there is something that needs to be paid for in the beginning, let the man pay. Let him pay. And if he asks to split the bill, you as a woman can ask to honor the gender wage gap and split it along the lines of the 85 cents to every dollar that a woman makes for what a man makes. That said, once I decided that I wanted to only pursue masculine men, I only started receiving men who loved to take care of the bill. They would have been offended if I had tried to pay. In fact, I would kind of, float it, and they shut it down. So they wanted to take care of me, and not all of them made more money than me, but most of them did. But it doesn't matter. They were happy to treat me and take me out and provide for me during the date. Quick tip, if he gets dinner, let him get dessert. A lot of independent women say, oh, you got dinner, well, let me get the ice cream or whatever. No, let him get it in the beginning, because a man who's really in his masculine is going to be happy to do this. He is there to protect and provide, and if that means providing you ice cream at the end of a date, let him do that. It is not a big deal, and you don't need to even the score just to prove a point to him or yourself. Obviously, these kinds of rules about money are going to be negotiated as you get further and further into the relationship, and it becomes more equal if you want it to. But I just think, I look at these couples who are Venmoing each other, like married couples who Venmo each other for coffee, and I'm just like, what the heck is wrong with you? Society is set up for men to make more money. Let him get the coffee, for God's sake. So, okay, we've established the masculine as the protector and the provider. Let's talk about you, because being the prize as the feminine energy is not easy. You have to really be in your power, and I personally think that the feminine life force and power is greater than the masculine power and energy that is available to us. I think the masculine is louder and the feminine is quieter, which means that we as women in our feminine are going to want to focus on being and let the masculine energy focus on doing. Now, I've always found it harder to be than to do. I'm a doer. Have been in my masculine energy a lot since I was a kid. I would always be out playing with the boys on the playground, doing pull-ups, wrestling, lifting stuff, throwing it around, kind of aggressive. And I think that in some ways that was a trauma response to the chaos of my upbringing and just wanting to be in control and make sure that I'm my own protector. We don't have to get into my whole backstory as a kid, but now as I have worked through a lot of that and gone out of survival mode and into enjoyment mode of life, I find that I'm wanting to be in my feminine more and more. Yet still, it's tough for me to feel like the prize, and I have to remind myself of that on a daily basis. that it's my job to be the best version of myself, be in, for me, my beauty, my open heart, my love, my emotional presence and availability, my compassion, and that when I do this, masculine energy just pours on me. Like it's magic. Like I will go out and just have, you're in the subway and a guy helps you with your heavy bag out of nowhere, or someone holds the door for you out of nowhere, someone buys you a coffee out of nowhere. So these gestures, just the more I'm in my feminine, the more the masculine rises and steps up to meet me. It's really beautiful to witness. And again, this is not something that came naturally to me. I've learned to cultivate this over the years through, working with lots of different teachers and coaches and reading a lot of books and listening to a lot of audio material on this and practicing most of all. So one thing that I want to end with on protector versus prize is a little controversial, but let him like you more. Let him like you more. Reason being, if he likes you more, he's going to do more for you. So it's not that you're bringing nothing to the relationship. On the contrary, you're bringing so much, but it's being versus doing. So allow him to do more. And this one's crazy. Let him like you. So many people in New York, myself included, recovering from this, are uncomfortable with a man liking you. Get comfortable with somebody being really into you. We're not talking stalker obsessive. I had that as well. That's not what I mean, but just can you even let someone be nuts over you and, fall over themselves to want to make you happy and to serve you and to be with you? So allow them to like you and allow them to like you more. So many women want to be the one that's kind of intoxicated with love and, chasing a partner. No, pull it back, be in your being, be in your, well, for me, it's black cat energy. By the way, black cat pairs well with golden retriever. They said it on TikTok and I have witnessed that to be true. So yeah, don't be afraid for him to like you more than you like him. All right, I think I've said enough about that. Point number 4 is gifts and gestures. And here's where the man gets to receive. So he's been doing for you, he's been initiating, he's been asking you out. But after a few dates, like maybe every 3 dates, get him a gift. Show your appreciation. And you could take him out, but make it sentimental. It's not about the cost so much, it's about something that's going to touch his heart. And show that you really see him and understand him and that you're thinking of him and that you want to show your gratitude for everything that he's doing. This could be something like poster of his favorite film or taking into a show for his favorite band or preparing a meal that he really loves. If he really likes going to the spa, treating you guys to the spa. What I've done, so I think we're on like date 6 now, but I got him a watch. He loves watches. And this one, I think it must have heard me talking about it on Instagram because I started getting ads for this watch. It's not a very expensive watch. Watches can be quite pricey. This one is beautiful. It looks expensive. It's not that expensive. And I'm like, yeah, I can spend this because he's going to freaking love this. I mean, I hope so. I haven't given it to him yet. But that kind of a gesture really goes a long way and it evens out what's happening in terms of his output. So every 3 dates for the first, maybe 6 months, try to get him something nice or take him out somewhere nice. I think this is a good stopping place for part 1, Life as an Artist, Dating and Love. There's a lot to unpack here, but my invitation to you is to work with these concepts if you are calling in love or if you're in a medium relationship, you want to be in a really good one. Work with these concepts and just know that you deserve happiness. You deserve to feel fulfilled and loved and cherished, and you deserve someone that you're really attracted to, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. And that love and dating as an actor and as an artist is completely possible. So if I, Miss Black Cat of all time, can call in a boyfriend who is crazy about me, then literally anyone can. because I have never had a good, healthy, loving, romantic relationship in New York, ever. And for the first time, after working on this really, really consistently with focus for 5 years, the past 5 years, I finally called one in. So I can tell you for a fact that this stuff works. And if you follow these formulas, that I am pretty confident that you're going to be able to call somebody in as well. Because I've seen it work for many, many other people, and it's worked for me too. Be sure to check out part 2 of this episode, because that's where I get into the juicy stuff. And by juicy stuff, I mean sex, okay? We're going to talk a little bit about that in the context of a relationship so that you know how to handle that and you can approach that in a way that's going to work for you. I'll see you next week.
The Vermilion podcast is sponsored by Vermilion, a home for artists. We offer classes, coaching, and community for creatives and innovators in the arts. If you're ready to find your voice and build the life of your dreams, we're here to support you every step of the way. Check out clubvermilion.com and schedule a free call today.